Hi, chummers. How you doing? How about that, folks? Hunter Reese. Boy, that's quite a picture. He and his dad Randy was out the other day. And boy, I tell you, those were some big crappie out at Bull Shoals. My golly. Some nice fish being caught out at Bull Shoals. Some really nice crappie. Hey, we've got a good show for you. I do want to remind you that here in the next week or two, we're going to go back to our old format where we're having all kinds of photos, our big photo roll, and just having a big time here on Fishing Chums. In fact, speaking of big time and speaking of Bull Shoals, Randy McKinley's on the line with me, and we're going to be talking about some recent fishing activities because there's really been some big crappie being caught out at Bull Shoals right now. I know this last few days been a little slower to some people, but they've been going out and catching some big crappie, just like you seen Randy's son, Hunter. Man, I tell you what, those were big, big crappie. Okay, I tell you what. Hey, man, Tony, I know that you do a lot of fishing out at Bull Shoals, and this has been a great winter, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. Yeah, there has been a lot of big fish caught out of Bull Shoals this winter.
If somebody wanted to go out there in the next week or two, what's the pattern that they can catch crappie on right now at Bull Shoals?
If they're looking for the big quality size fish, the place to be right now is in the timber. Those fish are going to be suspended anywhere around 25 to 35 foot in the timber, and they're probably not usually going to find them in really big schools. Most of the time, now I'm using live scope, but most of the time you're just going to find anywhere from 1 to 5 fish maybe suspended in that depth range around a tree. And a lot of the times you may only get 1 or 2 of those fish to bite.
Well, I tell you what I know that I've seen some great pictures the last few days coming out of Bull Shoals, and that's what they're saying. They're not catching great numbers right now, but really quality size. What would bait-wise? Are you using jigs?
Well, I primarily fish with jigs. I'm not much of a minnow guy. Now, I know some folks on this lake that have been using minnows, and on the days when the bite is tougher, the minnows are definitely going to get you a better bite than the jigs will. I primarily fish with an 1/8 ounce, but in the last several weeks I have downsized to a 1/16 ounce to try and slow that bait down and give the fish a little more time to react to it. With the cold water temps and everything, kind of like in the summer, the fish are kind of lethargic. They're not really super reactive to a bait most of the time. And so I've been using a lot of hand-tied jigs, a lot of more natural colors, silvers, blacks, stuff like that. But I know there's been some guys who have been fishing in the timber with minnows under slip bobbers. There's been some guys who have been casting to these fish. I primarily vertical jig, so most of the time I'm pitching a lure or a jig out and letting it sweep back down by the fish and trying to bring it right back by them on the live scope.
You know, Tony, I love Bull Shoals, and I remember in the winter I used to fish around some of the bluffs when I could find some timber, and I know that that's a good spot, isn't it?
Yeah, if they don't have live scope, you can get on a lot of those big bluffs in the main river channel of the lake, and you can find usually a few trees that are sticking out of the water. And for the folks that ain't got live scope or who are having a harder time finding the timber, if they'll get on those bluffs in the main river channel and find those trees that are sticking up, that'll give them somewhere to start to fish. They can fish around the visible timber that they can see.
Okay. Well, Tony, I know that you're a busy man, but you're going to start another adventure here. You're going to start a guide service out there. Tell me a little bit about it.
I am. I'm in the process right now of getting it set up. I'm not actually up and running right at this moment. Crappie Life Guide Service, LLC. Excuse me. And I'm going to be guiding exclusively for crappie on Bull Shoals Lake. And I'm going to try to cater to a lot of different clientele. If, there are folks that don't live here and are vacationing here and they just want to go out and catch some fish on the weekend, I can do that. Or if there are people who actually have their own boat and even live scope and stuff, and they're just wanting to try to learn more about sonar, how it works, how to interpret it, and employ it to catch fish. I'll do one-on-one trips where I can take someone out and try to teach them all that I can about side imaging, down imaging, live scope, and how to understand what they're looking at and use it to catch fish.
Oh boy, Tony, that sounds good, Tony. Well, I hope you wish you best of luck. I know I was talking to Randy Reason. I want to talk a little bit about your crappie page out at Bull Shoals.
Yeah, I'm the admin of the Bull Shoals Lake Crappie Talk group on Facebook. Started that back earlier in 2020, and we've got about 1,100 members on there now. And there's really a lot of helpful folks on that page. If someone's looking for a lot of specific information about crappie fishing on Bull Shoals Lake, there are a lot of folks on this lake that catch fish and are happy to try to share tips and information to help others who may be struggling to catch them.
Oh boy, Tony, that sounds good. I love that page. Good page. It's a lot of good information. And Tony, I want to thank you very much. Keep us informed on your guide service. And gosh, that was a great show today. I really appreciate it. You give us a lot of good information. And I tell you what, hopefully we won't have no floods out there this year, because that lake is full of crappie, isn't it?
Yeah, I have my fingers crossed that maybe we'll have a year where we at least remain around normal pool and Bull Shoals. But if it floods, the fish can still be caught. I can tell you that for a fact. They're just a little tougher to get on.
That's it. Well, Tony, keep me informed on your guide service, and good luck out there. And hopefully we can go out and pitch a few jigs one of these days.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, buddy. Appreciate your information.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Tony McKinley. Good guy. Boy, there's some good crappie fishermen out there. And there's a phone call I do not need. Not talking to anybody else. Hey, we have a good show for you. You know, it was a good photo of Hunter Reese at the beginning of the show. Man, they were some big crappie. Ooh, how big was that? Big. Out at Bull Shoals this week. Hey, you know, we have a good show for you. Some good reports coming out of not only Bull Shoals. We've got to go down to Truman Lake. A few nice crappie are being caught out at Pomme de Terre. And occasionally they're getting some good deep water fish out at Stockton. And a good report from out at Beaver Lake as well. Hey, I want to tell you, we're going to go back to our old format coming in here the next week or two, and we're going to have all kinds of photos in our photo roll. And right now, I want you to join us on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, go to Fishing Chums, and look at our page. And we want you to join us because we have a lot of fun. I want to show you a photo that was sent in to me this morning. I got it, and it was a nice photo. J.R. Van Note from Purdy, Arkansas. Now I want you to look at this. Look at that. That's me. That is me about 40 years ago, if I can hold it still. And I was on ESPN with Jimmy Houston. And 40 years ago, when Jimmy Houston was on ESPN, Jimmy and I fished a lot together, filmed a lot together. And that photo in fact, JR was watching the show last night before, and I think the Sportsman's Fishing Network, and they show old shows of some of the guys, and I was on there with Jimmy Houston. So thanks for that photo. Man, I didn't know I had brown hair at one time there, JR. Pretty Missouri. Thank you very much. All right, let's go fishing here. We're going to go out to Beaver Lake, and I've had several reports. In fact, I just got on visiting, texting our good friend Richard Lee Rusher a minute ago out at the guide service there, and he said that some people are really looking for walleye up in the river right now. And of course, this is the time of the year that walleye like to find current and come up the river. Might be just a tad early. Richard Lee said up in the river down in the tailwaters of Bull Shoals, they're catching walleye mainly on jigs and jerkbaits, with a lot of throwbacks, a lot of short fish. But occasionally they are catching a keeper. But so we'll be keeping you informed on this because, boy, on Table Rock, that upper end of Table Rock and up into the Beaver Lake area, that can offer, the Kings River, all that area can produce some really big walleye. Just about getting ready to start, so we'll keep you informed on that. Hey, Richard Lee from the Custom Adventure Guide Service said the guide fishing has been pretty good. They've been going down and catching quite a few trout. The trout fishing's excellent, and pitching out some jigs out there. And in fact, Tony Harris was out the other day using a zigzag jig and picked up a beautiful, beautiful crappie. And Steve Damler was out the other day, a couple of evenings ago, and picked up a very beautiful rainbow trout down below the dam as well. Some pretty good action down below the dam. And I want to thank Richard Lee, our old buddy out there. Out on the main lake at Beaver, I've had good reports of the bass fishing really picking up there the last few days, this past week. And they're catching them out on the main lake points back into the creek arms as well. They're throwing some crankbaits, they're pitching jigs, doing a little bit of a jerkbait bite. And so you may want to check this out. And the crappie fishing's been good. I tell you what, up in the river areas, in fact, John Corkland was out the other day and had his son up in the river, one of the river arms at Beaver, and picked up some beautiful crappie in about 10 feet of water. And also out on the main lake, back in some of the creek areas and so forth, out in some of the shelves and deep water, I've heard of deeper water crappie being caught at Beaver as well, and anywhere from 25, 30, or a little over 30 feet of water over structure, tight to structure. So check that out at Beaver. All right, let's go out to Table Rock Lake. Some activity out there. There's been some nice fish caught here recently. They've been picking up some nice bass. It seems like maybe not great numbers, but the quality has been real nice, really nice sized fish. And I've heard swimming jigs or jigging jigs is the best thing. I've also heard of a little bit of jerkbait bite, and they've been picking up some fish on crankbaits, wiggle warts, and just any good, reliable, good crankbait might catch you, get you bit out there as well. Flipping jigs, boy, that's working jigs has been a real big thing out at Table Rock. Had some kind of a crappie report, a couple of reports. They say it's tough, but they're getting into those structure, just like the other lakes, tight to structure, jig fishing, something bright like a pink head and chartreuse body jig, maybe an 1/8 ounce. If they're finicky, go to a 1/16 ounce over the timber and some of the brush. And at times, the deep water brush piles are picking up a few crappie out at Table Rock. Okay, out at Taneycomo, they have some decent trout fishing taking place out there right now. When they're running water, they're drifting. They're using some power eggs. White or pink seems to be a good color. And I've had some reports, even night crawlers are picking up a few fish while drifting. And I know when they're not running water, the fly fishing's been good down below the dam out at Table Rock as well. Bull Shoals, we just had that report. From Tony McKinley, that was a fun report. He's talking about relate to structure out at Bull Shoals. Fish the structure, the trees. Keep that jig tight to the trees, and they may be deep water and around 25 feet or so, but fish it slow and just a few fish per tree generally, he said, but they can catch some quality fish. In fact, Randy Reese got such a tickle out of that photo of Randy's son, Hunter. They were holding up those big crappie, and they were just out the other day. So some nice big crappie can be caught. Some people are having a little bit of problem the last few days, but I'm telling you, it's going to get real good. It's already good, but boy, it's going to get better, that's for sure. In fact, Lindell Smith was out the other day. He had a great photo over on the crappie page, some real big crappie, and Kyler Laster was out the other day as well, and had some nice crappie. So there's some nice crappie being caught out at Bull Shoals. Stick to that structure. Okay, let's go out to Stockton. Todd Lanning was out the other day, and he picked up some crappie in 25 to 30 feet of water, some real nice fish, and just fishing slow. Sometimes some of these fish are suspended. Sometimes they're just a crank or two off the bottom. Experiment it. Look with your locators. Find that big schools of shad and some crappie. Get down there on top of them, vertically fish, and just experiment on your depth. Okay, let's go out to pomme de terre, if I can get that out. Pomme de terre's been pretty good this week for the people that's been going out. In fact, Tyler Ulrich was out the other day. He went out before work and caught a mess of crappie. I seen that on their page. Good going, Tyler, and nice fish as well. Jigs, and here again, tight to structure. Other people are finding some fish suspended. Experiment on your depth. And they've been picking up some real nice crappie out at Pomme de Terre. Get out there and try it the next few days. Out at Truman, I tell you what, there's been some nice fish caught out at Truman for the people. Been a little tougher this week. They've had some wind problems and some weather problems, but when they have been able to get out, they've been picking up some really nice crappie. And again, fishing structure, fishing slow, and sometimes they're on drop-offs. Anytime you can find some structure near a drop-off, boy, that's a good spot. And on the edge of the flats, edge of the channels, that's the ticket out there. And nice crappie can be caught out at Truman. Visited with some other folks out there. Has been catching some few catfish, but it has slowed down a little bit. And we'll have another report on this next week. I got a buddy going out fishing tomorrow. He's going to catch them. All right, let's go out to the Lake of the Ozark. Rick Fishburne and Sean Holler and Holly and Jordan was out the other day, this past weekend, I believe on Sunday, and I seen a photo out of their page, and boy, they were really nice fish, fishing the docks, shooting the docks out at the Lake of the Ozarks. And Benny Walker was out the other day and had a nice mess of crappie out at Lake of the Ozarks around the docks. In about 30 feet of water they were fishing, and with an 1/8 ounce jig. Best color seemed to be monkey milk. That's a good color. And also blue ice out at Lake of the Ozarks. So you may want to check this out. So nice little quick report. It's going to be a decent weekend. I think Saturday it's only going to be in the 40s, maybe 43 throughout the Ozarks, maybe a little cooler. Sunday it's going to be in the 50s in some areas, so that's not going to be too bad. Then the long range forecast in the next week is going to be not bad, in the 40s, around the mid 40s for the most part. But that's good fishing weather to me for some good fishing, I think. Jordan Lear, I did talk to him also out at Truman Lake. He said it was a little slow catfishing this last week, but he's expecting to pick up any time. So get out there and do some catfishing. He's a great guide. Check him out. That's about it for the day. We want to thank you very much for being with us today. Be sure to go to our group page and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Go to Facebook, Fish and Chums group page, and we'll get you all enrolled out there. And share with your friends, because I tell you what, this early spring break fishing is getting ready to break wide open, and we're going to be right here with the latest fishing information. So have yourself a good weekend. See if you can go out and get bit. God bless you all. Check you next week right here on Fish and Chums.